Commissioner Halsey, Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Spangler.
Here.
Commissioner Wagner.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Here.
Chairman Pardon. And recall Commissioner Dunbar
Here.
and Commissioner Birchfield.
Here.
Please note that they were attending in
Right.
the joint meetings.
Ms. Greer, if you could add that to the minutes when they're posted.
Disclaimer. All post commissioners have previously agreed to recuse themselves from any vote that would constitute a conflict of interest. The most obvious of these would include issues that involve their own departments or someone they know personally. Because they've already agreed to this, it should be noted that on routine matters, it would be assumed non-verbally that these commissioners have abstained from the vote. In bigger, more controversial issues that may have a more overt conflict of interest or may have the appearance of impropriety, those applicable commissioners will still verbally abstain from such vote.
Thank you very much. I believe all the commissioners who were submitted the minutes from the September 17, 2021 commission meeting. If you read those and you wish to file a motion to approve, please do so.
I make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any- Thank you. Motion carries. Decertification hearing held this month.
Yes, there was a informal subcommittee meeting yesterday in the matter of Jonathan B. Desmarais of the Irwin Police Department. The recommendation is a default order of decertification based on his failure to maintain his pre-employment standards, psychological standard. In the matter of Matthew J. Harvey, that matter was dismissed by the subcommittee. The recommendation is dismissal of any further charges. The matter of Isaiah T. Lloyd of the Highway Patrol that was remanded to the subcommittee was continued at the request of the respondent.
Okay. We entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next order of business is appearing before the commission. Any waivers for pre-employment requirements?
Dyersburg Police Department requests a military discharge waiver for Chelsea Anderson, hired August 23rd, 2021. On March 2nd, 2018, Ms. Anderson was discharged with a general under honorable conditions discharge from the United States Army due to misconduct or abuse. And they are appearing for the commission.
Yes, would you please identify yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant Kenny Jones, Police Officer at Chelsea.
Okay, thank you. And so tell us what we need to know about this situation.
Yes, ma'am. We had conducted a background investigation. We had determined that Ms. Anderson had a military discharge under honorable conditions with a misconduct and drug use. Our background investigation led us to understand that it is an ongoing domestic situation where she was held down and forced to take drugs on one occasion. It was not reported to the police due to the nature of some of the domestic situations that's going on that we're familiar with. On another occasion, she had knowingly taken 2 pills for a headache that she had told the military police once they had done another investigation that it could have been drugs. She didn't see it come out of a lead bottle or something. Eventually, it led to what led up to their investigation of her was based off of a domestic assault that she did report. They had got her boyfriend in, investigated him, interviewed him, and during the course of the investigation, he claimed that she had taken illicit drugs for a drink underage. At that point, she got in, and in the summary of their investigation, they stated that she knowingly took drugs on 2 separate occasions. Ms. Anderson Officer Anderson was spoken to about this. We interviewed her again as part of the background investigation report, and it was determined that we believe her. we believe what she said happened. She was forced to take the drugs the first time. She made herself throw up as part of a violent encounter with her boyfriend. The second time, she thought she was trusting someone to give her something. She claimed she never experienced any of the effects of a drug that she was giving. In fact, the second time she normally took it was, she said she just went to sleep with a headache. Woke up with no real effects or anything. She has never failed a drug screen to our knowledge in the military. We have requested that. We never received anything, any confirmation, either phone or email interviews with the person with the military. Her drug screens and her background investigations have all come back clear since this happened in 2017. And we believe we trust her, and our police department is ready to give her a chance.
Questions from the commissioners?
I've got a couple questions for Officer Anderson. If I could. In the Army, did you have an administrative discharge board, or was this just basically a paper process? Did the command recommend the general discharge, and it was just a paper process?
I found out I was pregnant during this investigation, and I requested to go ahead and get out because of pregnancy, and the situation I was in. It was all handled within my leadership. I got an Article 15, and I went ahead and wanted to go through with a discharge. So my commander of my squadron is going to make it.
So they recommended a general discharge after you took the Article 15. Is that correct? Now, reading your report, were you in the Army or in the Air Force?
Air Force.
Okay. But that's what you had said on our other paperwork. It said Army, so I was a little bit confused. As far as there were two different incidents that you described. The one where your boyfriend forced you to take ecstasy, you tried to throw up and get it out of your system. And was that discovered as a result of a urinalysis at the unit, or how did that?
Sir, it was during an investigation. Throughout the investigation, I was upfront and honest with the investigator who was asking me questions. That's the only way they knew about it.
So they never had any kind of a drug screen or anything that indicated that you had taken it. You just told them about it.
I had a drug screen, and to my knowledge, I passed it. I was never told anything about me failing it. It was all just for me being honest with them.
No action was ever taken in the domestic against your boyfriend. Was that on base? And the military police or the command decided not to pursue it? What happened there? They just, sounds like they kind of dropped the ball. I'm sorry to hear they didn't at least give it an investigation. So it seems kind of messed up. Thank you for your service. How long were you in the Air Force?
2 years.
What was your specialty? What did you do in the Air Force?
I was a civil engineer. I did all the wind surveying for the base, made all the maps and blueprints.
Did you have to undergo a significant amount of training to be able to do that job?
It was 4 months hands-on training and academic training.
Any further questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I've got a question. Your boyfriend, was he a service member?
No, sir.
So he was living on post with you?
He was visiting.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I've got a question.
Yes, please.
Officer Anderson, I noticed on your DD 214, it does state misconduct and drug abuse. Why do you think they may have put that on there if they didn't follow through as Commissioner Cherry had mentioned? It seems like that they would at least done something, I would think, but I'm sure you can't answer that. I guess I'm asking a question out loud that probably can't be answered, but by hearing your comments and your answers to Commissioner Cherry, I being from serving in the Air Force as well, it seems kind of odd, but Anyway, I guess I'm just speaking out loud.
Just for the benefit of the commission, just a couple of comments. If the boyfriend wasn't a member of the military, then the military didn't have any jurisdiction to prosecute him. So that kind of explains why they wouldn't have prosecuted him at the Air Force. They should have referred it out to the civilian side so that they could pursue this. And it sounds like either they didn't refer it out or the civilians decided it was too tangled for them to get involved. As far as the characterization as misconduct, drug abuse, it does seem kind of odd that they took action on something without having some kind of results of a urinalysis or some kind of medical report. But it's not Alabama. They pursued this simply based on the statement that Officer Anderson gave them. I've seen cases like that where there really was no evidence except the statement of the accused. In this instance, that was the entirety of the misconduct. It doesn't appear that there was any other misconduct that they charged her with. She was ready to get out of the Air Force because of her pregnancy as well. So it kind of makes sense. Sorry you had to go through that kind of a poor experience.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries forward. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you all.
Aaron Police Department requested military discharge waiver for Daryl Wayne Tibor, hired August 25th, 2021. On November 15, 2010, Mr. Tibor was discharged with a general under honorable conditions from the Army National Guard due to acts or patterns of misconduct under the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Someone appearing here today electronically for the Aaron Police Department. I see someone there. Who's there, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm getting a lot of reverb. I apologize. Chief Mark Moore with the Aaron Police Department and Officer Daryl Steve.
Okay. Chief, could you tell us more about this?
Yes, ma'am. When we ran background check and everything of Officer Teeber, we looked at his DD 214, seeing that he had a general discharge under honorable conditions. I spoke with Officer Teeber. He spent approximately 3 years, 4 months in the Army National Guard, came home on leave, and was at a welcome home party. At that time, he was with some friends. It's his tale to me that while there, he had smoked a marijuana joint. Upon going back from leave, given a drug test where he tested positive for THC, and at that time was given a discharge from the military.
Okay. It was a little hard to hear you. We were getting sort of a reverb. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
2 people in the room, because if there are, look like the chief is there, there's another person that's there.
Yeah, is there someone there with you? Is the officer there with you or a candidate?
Yes, ma'am, he is. Yes.
Okay, it could be his mic is making the vibration. I'm not sure, but why don't you let him speak and tell us what we need to know to make a decision on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Officer Teeber. As Chief Orr explained, I just came back from deployment. I was on leave, and I had some friends who were in college, and they threw me a coming home party. At this party, I got a little inebriated and was offered a marijuana joint. And next week, while reporting for duty, we had a drug screen and I tested positive. for probably 4 or 5 months afterwards. I was randomly drug tested. Each one was negative, but due to the policy that was handed down to National Guard to downsize, I was discharged.
Okay, could the commissioners understand? Could you hear this? Okay. All right. Any questions from the commissioners?
So based on what I'm reading, it says acts or patterns of misconduct. That's one incident. What other incidents occurred? Because,
None.
Officer Tiber, I've just got a couple questions for you. As far as the way they characterize this, this would probably be more accurately characterized as misconduct, drug abuse. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Because that was the only act of misconduct that you had committed. Is that right?
That is the only infraction.
Okay. How long was your deployment? Was it a year-long deployment or 6 months, or how long were you in Iraq?
I was there for a year.
Okay. What was your occupational specialty? What did you do in the Army?
I was a 15 Tango UH-60 helicopter repair.
Okay. So my experience with the squadrons is that they're pretty excited about. They don't want to have people working on their aircraft people who have taken drugs. Is that kind of a fair assessment of the attitude in the aircraft community?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Okay, yeah, I didn't phrase that very well. My experience with the aircraft squadrons is that typically the pilots and personnel don't like to have people working on their machines that they're going to go fly in if the people working on them have been doing drugs. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
Yes.
And they probably drilled that into you pretty heavily when you were in Iraq, and probably all during your career in the Army. Is that right?
Yes.
When this came about, before you were discharged, did you have an administrative separation hearing, or was this the result of just a recommendation from your commander that you get a general discharge?
When I was made aware of it, I was handed an Article 15 and a order for discharge right at the same time, as explained by my company commander, that it was policy from the Army to downsize for any and all infractions.
Okay. Did your commander have a pretty high opinion of you? Did he like you a lot?
I would hope so.
Did you do a pretty good job for him?
Could you repeat that?
Did you do a pretty good job for him? How were your evaluations?
Yes, sir. I try to do the best job I can at everything.
All right, thank you. And thank you for your service. How long altogether were you in the National Guard?
About 3.5 years.
3.5 years, and you had 1 year deployment as part of that. Is that correct?
Can you repeat, sir?
And you had the 1 year deployment was part of that 3 years, and then did you have some active duty training time as well to learn how to work on helicopters?
Yes. Part of the National Guard is it's part of the Army, the regular Army, and you go to active duty training for everything when you deploy your active duty.
Right. So about how much active duty time did you have altogether of that 3.5 years you had in the National Guard? How much of it was on active duty?
About a year and a half.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any further questions from the commissioners?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, one no vote recorded. All right, thank you, Chief Moore.
Thank you, and sorry about the echo there.
It's okay. We're all getting used to this virtual world we're in.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the Gatlinburg Police Department. Is there someone online from the Gatlinburg PD?
Randy don't ever need. Bracken don't ever.
Trying to talk.
Unmute.
Can you unmute, please?
Gatlinburg requests a conviction waiver for Corey Lane Tony, hired August 2nd, 2021. On June 26, 2016, Mr. Tony was arrested in McCreary County, Kentucky, and charged with public intoxication. On July 21st, 2016, Mr. Tony pled guilty to public intoxication and has since satisfied all court-ordered fines and fees.
Who's appearing for the Gatlinburg Police Department, please?
Bracken, please.
He's up here.
Can you unmute and identify yourself?
Still won't have him. He's talking.
We can't hear you, Chief.
Can we have him call? Ask him for a number in the chat. We can have him call in.
Can you chat a phone number so we can call you? Is he nodding his head? I can't see. Okay.
I think we just got Charlie trying to, don't even go to this meeting, just take a break.
Do we have a phone?
Put them at the end and come back, maybe?
I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to Gatlinburg. Is there someone online from the Hornbeak Police Department?
Yes, we're here.
Okay, hold on.
Hornbeak Police Department requests a conviction waiver for Robert Scott McKnight, hired August 18, 2021. On June 11, 2011, Mr. McKnight was arrested in Shelby County, Tennessee, and charged with driving under the influence and assault with a threat of bodily harm. On December 9, 2014, Mr. McKnight pled guilty to driving under the influence and assault, threat of bodily harm. Mr. McKnight has since satisfied all court-ordered fines and fees.
Okay, who's appearing for the Hornbeak Police Department? Would you identify yourself, please?
My name is Betty Wally. I am the mayor of Hornbeak.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm Robert McKnight, Chief of Police.
Okay, I see you now. Thank you. All right, who can tell us more about this particular candidate and the situation that we have before us? That be you?
Well, ma'am?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I can say that reviewing his record, he has been a good policeman. We have hired him here in Hornbeak as the chief of police. We would like to get him certified here in the state of Tennessee. He was a policeman in Kentucky and is certified there. But we need him to be certified here so he can do more of his duties as a policeman.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Could you tell us a little bit more, Mr. McKnight, about the situation that we have listed here in the summary that was submitted to the Post Commission?
Yes, ma'am. In June of 2011, I was driving from South Fulton, Tennessee to Memphis. Coming into Memphis, the sun was glaring in my eyes and everything, and I admit I was intoxicated. There was a woman standing on the side of the road. So her car had broke down, and apparently my mirror caught her arm, and she sued my insurance company, of course. But anyway, that's mainly the story. I admit I was intoxicated. I've never had a DUI before that or after, and never will. I can tell you that. I went to court 12 times in Memphis, and I finally told my lawyer, if you get the vehicular assault brought back down to a misdemeanor where I could be a police officer again, I would go ahead and plead guilty, and that's what I did.
The assault, threat, bodily harm was striking her rearview mirror?
My review, I was driving down the road probably about 5 miles an hour because the traffic was slowed down because her car was broke down, and my rear view mirror on the side of the car caught her arm.
Okay. Questions by the commissioners?
So this was initially charged as a vehicular assault, vehicular aggravated assault. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're able to get that pled down to a simple assault?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did she sustain any significant injury?
No, sir. One of the times when I went to court, I asked about her and they said her shoulder still hurt, but that's it.
Okay. And this was 10 years ago.
Yes, sir.
What are your drinking habits since that happened?
Very seldom at home.
Okay. Yeah, that's enough to kind of give you a good wake up call, isn't it? So.
Yes, sir. You never ever want to go to 201 Poplar. I can guarantee you that.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. This is Wagner. It says assault, threat, bodily harm. Was any threat involved in any of this, or is that just a classification of it?
No, sir, there was no threat involved. I don't know where that came from. I sent all my paperwork in from court, and it was all satisfied. There was no threat at all.
So it was a misdemeanor assault, bodily harm?
Yes, it was amended to that, yes.
I'm not familiar with that classification, but I want to make sure there was no threat involved.
No, sir. No.
An accident where you struck the lady's arm.
Yes, sir.
If I may, the judgment form that is in your packet actually shows it is assault bodily injury.
Not threat.
Yes.
That's what I get for not reading the packet.
I was just double checking.
And we don't have any copy of a arrest report or anything. I'm not saying any of that. Mr. Knight, it's pretty good distance from South Fulton to Memphis. What was the circumstances behind that? Would you drink before you left South Fulton, or drinking on your way to Memphis, or?
Drinking on the way to Memphis. At that time, I was working out of Memphis on the railroad.
You was headed to work?
No, not to work, to Memphis, back in my apartment.
And did the city did it happen in the city or in the county?
It happened in the city, right, the first stoplight when you get in the city.
Did they take a crash report or anything at that time?
I'm not aware, sir. I'm sure they did.
You have a BAC, you remember what it was?
It was high. I think it was 0.2.
Just out of curiosity, what'd you do on the railroad?
I was an engineer.
Mr. McKnight, how big is your agency?
Hornbeak Police Department, I'm the chief, and I've got one patrolman that works for me.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions by the commissioners?
I got one other question. You're certified in Kentucky.
Yes.
How long have you been a certified officer and worked in Kentucky?
Went to the academy in 1996, and then after 3 years of working at Fulton Police Department, I went to the railroad for 12 years. And after this accident, I went back to Fulton Police Department for 2 years. I've worked 8 years since this accident in Kentucky.
In law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
And did they granted you a waiver in Kentucky for this? That they considered this, right?
They did consider it. I didn't have to go before a board or anything. They just hired me back in Fulton. I think the academy may have had a meeting or something. I'm not sure, but they hired me back in Kentucky through DOCJT with the approval of DOCJT.
All right, Mr. McKnight, this is Commissioner Wright again. I just want to make sure I got timelines right here. Walk us through, you went to the academy and got certified, then went to the railroad, and then back to, can you give me those dates of when we started and all that again?
I went to the academy in 96. I worked 3 years at Fulton Police Department in Fulton, Kentucky. Went to the railroad for 12 years. Went back to Fulton Police Department for 2 years, and then went to Hickman Police Department for 6 years. And I resigned Hickman Police Department in August of this year to come here.
When you turned back to Fulton for that 2 years, did you have to do any more classes or anything to where you kept up your certification, or how did you get recertified with that?
Yes, sir. I had to go to a 3-week course in Richmond. For refresher training.
Any further questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant the waiver.
Is there a second? Okay, I think the motion.
Just to give a second, I'm gonna second.
You're going to second? All right, let's call for a vote. The motion is to approve the waiver. I'm sorry,
Maybe some discussion.
is there any discussion? No.
Well, it's been 10 years since this has happened.
Also, my understanding, he was certified in August of this year. Is that correct, Mr. McKnight? You're certified?
Yes. I'm still certified in the state of Kentucky. And will be for a year after I left.
I've got another question. What, you say you went to court 12 times on that. What was that back and forth, and why it took from 2011 to 2014 to finally get this?
That's the Shelby County court system. I get some opinions too.
That's lawyers being lawyers. I hope none of you are lawyers, but it was postponement.
Here, you just
It was postponement after postponement for some reason.
Last time I checked, they had 480,000 general sessions docket settings last year.
Is there any further discussion on this case? We have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion?
We'll be close. Roll call.
We haven't voted yet. All right. All right, let's vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
I'm going to abstain since it's
Okay, one abstention and one opposed. I guess the motion carries.
Suspend.
Okay,
barely.
motion carried.
Those two.
They don't, there are two commissioners that are online. I can't see you. Did you vote?
Yes, I'm the ayes.
Okay, that's Commissioner Dunbar.
Birchville, yes.
Okay, all right. Whoops. All right, is the mayor there? And
Yes.
Mr. McKnight? Okay, the motion carried for your waiver. Thank you for being online.
Well, we appreciate you hearing us, and I'm glad he was given the waiver. We are a small town, and he's been an asset to our town, and we look forward to him being able to perform his job fully.
Thank you, Mayor. Take care.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank y'all, and I apologize to the lawyers.
No apology necessary.
Just, it's part of the territory.
Is Gatlinburg there? I'd like to come back to you if you're available.
Did we get them? We're calling them.
Commissioners, I sent you via chat his cell phone number. I don't believe he has speakers on his computer.
Okay. Who are you, sir? I can see you, but I don't know who you are.
Elaine Mullins with Wilson County Sheriff.
Okay.
We're down, trying to dial into them.
All right, we'll come back to Gatlinburg. We're trying to dial in.
Do we have it?
Okay,
Yes.
we're calling you right now, Gatlinburg.
It's her hometown. The other officers full-time, where her mother lived now. If you Google it, it'll be.
Somebody on the phone?
We can call the office and ask him to, I'm gonna give him a number to call in.
Gatlinburg, if you can hear me, we're going to send you a number to call us
In the chat.
in the chat.
A lot of people that need to look at it.
Should we go on to the next item? Okay, Gatlinburg, while we're doing that, we're going to move on to the waivers to attend another academy.
Alcoa Police Department requests a waiver to change academies for Keenan Jesse Brackens, hired August 9, 2021. On August 12, 2021, Mr. Brackens attended the Blount County Law Enforcement Training Academy orientation. Mr. Brackens was unable to attend the academy due to medical reasons. Alcoa Police Department requests a waiver so that he may attend Walter State Community College Training Academy.
Yes, is Alcoa Police Department there, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please identify yourself.
Sergeant Wilson, the Alcoa Police Department, and Officer Brackens is with me.
Okay, so is there anything else we need to know about this in order to take a vote, other than what Director Grisham just read?
No, ma'am. He had got COVID and was out for 2 weeks. He was not able to begin the academy. And at that point, he would have missed too much of the academy.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion to approve in a second. Let's take a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, that passes. Thank you, Alcoa. Please say, appreciate it.
Wilson County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver to academies for Amanda Lee DeLille in July of 2021. She attended Metro Nashville Law Enforcement Training Academy. She was unable to complete the academy due to personal reasons. Wilson County requests a waiver to change academy so that she may attend the LETA.
Okay, who's representing the Wilson County Sheriff's Office? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Sergeant Lane Mullins.
All right, Sergeant Mullins, there you are. Anything else on this that we need to know about to take a vote?
No, ma'am. She is getting herself in better physical condition.
You think she's good to go now?
She will be good to go in January.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve this and a second. Let's take a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, Wilson County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do we have Gatlinburg?
Ms. Gatlinburg, are you there? Did she say yes?
If he sees the number.
If you see the number to call.
Did you see the number to call, Gatlinburg? There's a number in the chat area. What's he doing? I can't see him.
Ask them to call it.
Do you know sign?
Hello?
Are you there? Are you there, Gatlinburg? Where are we?
Just ask them to call back and just do it. Answer with that.
Can we just do a telephone call?
That's what it would do.
Okay. Let's move on. We'll come back, Gatlinburg. Waiver of basic training, specialized substitution for in-service training.
Yeah.
As soon as I accepted it, hangs it up.
Can you call back? Is that us calling them or they calling us?
Yes, could we speak to the chief? This is the Post Commission. We're trying to do a hearing over the phone. Thank you. Now I know why you have this. Chief, we're trying to get you on the main line. She's transferring the call, if you can catch that. There she is.
Answer the phone.
Wilson County.
Hallelujah. I've never been so glad to see you, Gatlinburg. Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, we're getting an echo, so is there something we can turn off?
They need to turn all their audio, video off.
Okay.
All their audio.
Chief, if you can hear me, please turn all of your audio, video off and just use the phone so we don't get an echo.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Okay. All right, so I'm still getting a little echo. Just make sure everything's off except for your phone. Okay, we'll try it. Let's see what it's.
That's it.
All right, can you hear? Oh, perfect. Thank you. Sorry about all this. This is a request for a conviction waiver. Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay. Gatlinburg requests a conviction waiver for Corey Lane Tony, hired August 2nd, 2021. On June 26, 2016, Mr. Tony was arrested in McCreary County, Kentucky, in charge of public intoxication. He has since satisfied all court-ordered fines and fees.
Okay, can you tell us about this, Chief? Okay. Go ahead. Okay, so the arrest for public drunk was in 2016, and you went to a branch of service. What branch did you go in? Yeah, I can see him. You want to let him speak? Yes. Commissioners have any questions?
How old were you at the time of this incident? Okay, so just barely legal, huh? Okay. Have you had any other issues with, well, let me ask you this. What's your drinking practices now? Did you hear that?
Did we lose you? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, we have a question. Stand by. Go ahead.
What was your job in the Army? What do you do in the Army? You fix the guns. Okay, good. Have you deployed since you've been in the National Guard? Okay, all right. Okay, well, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service, too. This Commissioner Wright, I'll make a motion to approve before we have any more technical.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. So we'll take a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you for your patience there in Gatlinburg. Chief, if you're still there, thank you very much. Okay, we got it done. Okay, we're ready for the waivers for basic training, specialized substitutions for in-service training.
Post Assistant Director reviewed and administratively approved 19 post-transition school waivers with all of their basic requirements transferring in order. In addition, we administratively approved 6 solo waiver requests based on the now eradicated backlog in post-transition school.
I don't believe that requires a vote, does it? Okay.
Administrative waivers also includes a 6-month rule waiver. We reviewed 1 6-month rule waiver under the current hardship, getting people on basic rules, so that doesn't require a vote either. No 8-month rule waivers, no medical waivers. Military leave waivers. Post investigators reviewed and approved 1 application for training officer that appears to be in order. There will need to be an instructor development for Brian Joseph Henniger of the Whitwell Police Department.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
And we have a second? I think I heard a second. All right. So for the vote, all in favor of approving this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on.
14 applications for certified instructor were processed. None require instructor development. However, 4 require a 1-year training officer requirement. Hugh Dean Inglet of Lawrenceburg Police Department, William Tully Reed of Mason's Police Department, James Cobb of the Munford Police Department, and Jaron John Turpinian of the Sweetwater Police Department.
All right, do we have a motion to approve or disapprove?
So moved.
To approve? Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving forward.
Curriculum and tests, the post investigators have reviewed and approved 83 in-service and specialized training courses that meet all the mandatory topics.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion moves. All right, old business?
Madam Chair, there is one matter of old business that we are going to ask for an end to the public hearing. And we have a confidential attorney-client matter that we need to discuss with you on an old case. Off the record, if the two commissioners can stay on Zoom. Is anyone on Zoom with any other business that we have not conducted?
Post the whole business after the meeting.
Okay.
That'd be acceptable to the chair.
I didn't hear what you said.
We would like to make the recommendation that the confidential matter be placed after the rulemaking hearing. That we will come back to it after conclusion. The rulemaking hearing is scheduled to start at 11. It's 10:48. I'd like to take a break, recess for a few minutes, come back to us, have a rulemaking hearing, and then we can, in the situation, then go on to the private matter if that makes sense.
Okay, do we need a motion on that?
I'd be, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, and a second.
Second. Make sure the two.
Could you hear that, commissioners that are online?
Yeah, I heard it. I think I'm gonna need another link, or do I need to come back in on this one for the next meeting?
Same.
Same one.
Okay.
Birchfield's here too. Yes.
We need you both attendance at 11, so please.
Okay.
And your feet.
It's comforting.
I see your tootsies there.
Oh, sir.
I see a vacuum cleaner over there. Like, jump up, get going. All right. So we are in recess.
We need to vote.
Oh, let's take a vote on the motion. All in favor? Any? All right, thank you.
There is no other business other than remember the November meeting calendar.
The session of the post commission is adjourned,
We'll postpone until 11.
postponed until 11.
That's not, thank you. I didn't want to read that statement.
Well, I was doing,
You're gonna-
I was separating it.
But let me say, you did a fantastic.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
You did.
Time to move it along. Forget
I mean, you did your Christian vote, you said hallelujah. You did great. You just followed the.
Isn't that what it is?
I'll let it read. I'll let it read.
Anyway, what is this?
They can't come in here. I'm still on Zoom. I got another meeting starting at 11 o'clock. They'll bark. Where you think you're going? Rules committee. It shouldn't be long. This should real
Start. We need to go with a roll call. You're gonna call it by name?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Birchfield,
Here.
Commissioner Cherry. Here. Commissioner Dunbar,
Here.
Commissioner Ferris, Commissioner Forrester,
Here.
Commissioner Halsey, Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Spangler. Here. Commissioner Wagner,
Here.
Commissioner Wright,
Here.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Here.
Chairman Parton.
All right, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Assistant General Counsel Kim Cooper.
Thank you, ma'am. This rulemaking hearing is now called to order. My name is Kim Cooper. I am an Associate General Counsel for the Department of Commerce and Insurance, and I serve as legal counsel for the Tennessee Peace Officer Standard and Training Post Commission. The commission members have already been indicated their attendance today through a roll call vote. It is 11 a.m. on Friday, October 29th, 2021. This rulemaking hearing is taking place pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 4-5-204 at the Post Annex Building Conference Room on the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy campus, located at 3025 Lebanon Pike in Nashville, Tennessee, 37214. We also have members attending via Zoom meeting. And this notice of this hearing today was posted on the Post Commission website and the Secretary of State website. The purpose of this rulemaking hearing is to solicit comments on amendments to the Post Commission's rules. The proposed amendments were developed by the Commission based on a review of the Commission's rules, recently passed legislation impacting the Commission, recommendations and input from the Governor's Task Force on Community Law Enforcement, input from the Commission's members, the Executive Secretary, and legal counsel. Those members of the public wishing to speak during the hearing should sign up on a sheet provided or type your full name into the chat option located at the bottom of the screen at this time so we can add you to the list for comments. Only those who have signed up will be permitted to speak. The notice of rulemaking hearing included the entire text of the proposed amendments and was filed with the Secretary of State on September 3rd, 2021, and published on the Administrative Register on the Secretary of State's website. Executive Secretary Grisham, can you please disclose who else was sent notice of this hearing by your program?
The Training Officer Association, Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police, and the Tennessee Sheriff's Association.
Thank you, sir. Before we move on to the regulatory flexibility analysis and the economic impact statement and comments, I will now summarize the proposed amendments for the record. Post Rule 1110-04-0.05 will be amended to provide that in 2022, a minimum of 10 hours of in-service training for all local law enforcement officers be dedicated to the topics of de-escalation techniques, duty to intervene, public assembly interaction, and officer wellness. In 2023, the amended rule will require that a minimum of 5 hours be devoted to those subjects as part of an overall focus on law enforcement and community involvement. Tennessee Code Annotated Section 4-5-403 requires the department to prepare a regulatory flexibility analysis and an economic impact statement for each rule that is deemed to affect small business. These statements will be filed with the Secretary of State as addendums to the adopted rules. The regulatory flexibility analysis pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 4-5-402B states that each agency shall employ a regulatory flexibility analysis utilizing regulatory methods that accomplish the objectives of the applicable statutes while minimizing any adverse impact on small business. The agency shall consider, but not be limited to, each of the following methods of reducing the impact of the proposed rule on small businesses while remaining consistent with health, safety, and well-being. Number one, the extent to which the rule may overlap, duplicate, or conflict with other federal, state, and local governmental rules. It is anticipated that these rules will not overlap, duplicate, or conflict with other federal, state, or local governmental rules. Number two, clarity, conciseness, and lack of ambiguity in the rule. Rules have been drafted to be clear, concise, and unambiguous. Number three, the establishment of flexible compliance and reporting requirements for small businesses. The proposed rules are not anticipated to alter the standard practices of reporting and record keeping currently utilized by small business. Number four, the establishment of friendly schedules or deadlines for compliance and reporting requirements for small businesses. The rules are not anticipated to establish unfriendly schedules or unreasonable deadlines for compliance or reporting requirements for small businesses. Number five, the consolidation or simplification of compliance or reporting requirements for small businesses. The proposed rules are not anticipated to alter the standard practices of reporting and record keeping currently utilized. Number 6, the establishment of performance standards for small businesses as opposed to design or operational standards required in the proposed rule. The proposed rules do not establish any performance or operational standards for small businesses. Finally, number 7, the unnecessary creation of entry barriers or any or other effects that stifle entrepreneurial activity, curb innovation, or increase cost. These rules are not anticipated to create any unnecessary entry barriers or other effects that stifle entrepreneurial activity, curb innovation, or increase costs. Next, the economic impact statement. The statement shall include the following. Number 1, the types and estimated number of small businesses directly affected. It is anticipated that no small businesses will be affected by the promulgation of these rules. Number 2, the projected reporting, record keeping, and other administrative costs. There is no foreseeable alteration in the existing reporting or record keeping utilized by small businesses that will result from the promulgation of these proposed rules. Number 3, the probable effect on small businesses. It is anticipated that no small businesses will be affected by the promulgation of these rules. Number 4, less burdensome, intrusive, or costly alternative methods. Since the rules will not impact small businesses, a less burdensome, intrusive, or costly alternative method has not been identified or recommended for use. Number 5, comparison with federal and state counterparts. There are no federal counterparts to these rules. Number 6, the effect of possible exemption of small businesses. There are no exemptions for small businesses to the requirements contained in the rules because the rules are not anticipated to impact small businesses. Tennessee Code Annotated Section 4-5-220 and 4-5-228 requires any rule proposed to be promulgated shall state in a simple declarative sentence without additional comments on the merits of the policy or the rules or regulation, whether the rule or regulation may have a projected impact on local governments. These rules will have an impact on local governments, specifically on the hiring and training of law enforcement officers employed by local governments. As we hear public comment on the rules, I, as moderator, reserve the right to limit such comments if they become repetitive and for the purpose of time. As of this morning, I, and my name is on the notice of hearing for that purpose, have not received any written comments regarding these rules. Executive Secretary Grisham, have you received any comments?
No.
I'll now move on to public comment.
Council, this is Council Underwood. No one has signed up to present public comments on the sign-in sheet this afternoon.
Thank you.
One person waiting in a room, window 3, allow them in.
Yes, please
do.
Yeah, public comment.
At this time, if there's any public comments or anyone that wants to make comments, please do so.
She's connecting audio. It's not connected yet. She's on now, but she's
muted.
And at this time, I can only see your first name, Linda. I apologize for that. If there's any public comments or any comments, I'm sorry, that you'd like to make, now would be the time.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Sorry, or good afternoon on that side. Thanks for welcoming me in the meeting. I had no comments myself. I'm sorry that I'm late. I had another one ahead, but I'm just listening in.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Since we haven't had any comments offered or written or otherwise, that will conclude the comment period of the rulemaking hearing. After adoption of the rules by the commission, the rules will be forwarded to the Attorney General's office for review. After approval by the Attorney General, the rules are filed with the Secretary of State, who is responsible for publishing the adopted rules, and the Government Operations Committee of the General Assembly. The rules will become effective 90 days after being filed with the Secretary of State's office. And at this point, I would turn it back over to either Mr. Underwood, who may have some comments, fellow legal counsel.
At this time, I'd like to present commission members. You are presented with a packet of amendments to this, the filed notice, and I will summarize those basically 4 amendments that are recommended for this rulemaking. There is a heading change on paragraph 4 on page 2 of the document, which is on the screen there. The name is be statutory mandated training requirements, the red line underlined. That would be one of the changes that was different on the filed. Next page, on page 3, under the under B4 and under A4 and B4, the removal of classroom. We want this to be in community involvement, to be out in the community, not in classrooms. I think that's the intent of behind this. And then letter of paragraph F, which is that provides at the end of 2024, there will be a reviews by the Post Commission of all in-service requirements, including these proposed today, as well as existing statutory or other requirements to be analyzed by the commission for recommendation and review. That summarizes that. And Chair, I will turn it to you, a motion for the commission to accept those amendments as proposed, and then a vote for that. But that would not be the vote on the adoption of the rules. That would be just a vote to have the amendments substituted for the notice.
Okay, so so is this the time that we make changes, or do we do that after?
Let's get this in, and then we'll talk about, then you can talk about adopting the rules. So.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
A motion to approve?
To approve the changes as.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion?
All in favor?
All right, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
All right.
Now would be consideration, Chair, for adoption of the entire rules. And that would be followed by a roll call vote, but that was just where we are in.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion we adopt it. Discussion.
Okay. I had a motion and then discussion, so.
Yeah, let's have one motion and a second, then we have discussion.
Right,
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
and a second. Okay.
All right, under 5A2, Public Assembly Interaction, that actually is reworded based upon the community involvement. That's worded to where it actually appears as though they need to go out and find a public assembly to interact with for 2 hours. Instead, that should be field force operations or something similar, where it's actually talking about classroom training on how to interact with public assemblies. Second, in regards to the last point where it's talking about stuff being evaluated, we need to have, I guess you could say, an escape clause for the community interaction in case it is determined that it's actually having a negative impact, so that we don't have to go through the rules process to cancel it. So that would not be accomplished with the number F.
Okay, did general counsel hear that?
Did we lose power?
No, you're fine. Okay, did general counsel hear the discussion?
Yes, and I'll leave the other commissioners to respond to that, because they'll be voting. But I didn't hear what the substitution for public assembly interaction, what would be the terminology to be used?
Well, what's commonly used, at least from what I understand, is field force operations, which includes going from positive interactions all the way to having riots. So that's more, and I'm not an expert in that by any means.
The intent was to include acknowledgement of the right to assemble, and then to the other extreme, like you said, what to do if it goes too far.
This is all classroom except for number 4.
Right.
It may be classical. It probably most likely is.
Some of the agencies are doing like crowd control.
Yeah, well,
Practicals.
I consider that
Yeah.
inside the class type situation, a class.
Not
real. Yeah.
I think that, the agency head has enough knowledge, enough whatever to consider what we're talking about. But I think it should stand like it is.
Well, I don't mean to sound insulting, but unfortunately that we've interacted with some agency heads that probably need that to be clarified.
Well, it's always addressed. Executive director comes to the chief's meeting, sheriff's meeting. It's always addressed and things like that. I just don't see it as an issue really.
Any other discussion on this?
I do think the terminology was picked to leave a little bit open for maneuverability for that agencies. That's the purpose, I believe, to let them create this program. Getting to your next point about, is there escape clause? It's a 2-year program. I don't know how much we're going to find out after the first year, whether good or bad, but it will terminate in January 2024. Of these 2 requirements, these 2 years of the community involvement training will expire. Prior to that time, or subsequent by this time in 2 years, or by the time after it expires, the year after, it would be up to review all the programs to know which ones are working, which ones are
Well, this outside of commission, if everything goes as planned, hopefully here at the end of 2022, should have an evaluation of the impact, at least the initial evaluation. I'm actually working with AI doctoral students outside of both my realm on the commission and my job, so it's essentially
Further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the rules, is that correct? Are we ready? Do we need to do a roll call vote?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so let's do a roll call vote on the motion.
Commissioner Birchfield,
Aye.
Commissioner Cherry, Commissioner Dunbar,
Aye.
Commissioner Ferris, Commissioner Forster,
no.
Commissioner Halsey, Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Spangler, Commissioner Wagner, Commissioner Wright, Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
Chairman Pardon is absent.
Is there further business on this?
No,
Did the motion include the adoption of the economic statement or just the rules?
just the rules.
So we need a motion to adopt the economic impact statement that I read into the record at the beginning of the year.
Okay,
Make a motion to adopt the impact statement.
economic impact statement,
Second.
all right.
That does not need to be roll call.
Any further discussion on that? All right, let's take a vote. It doesn't have to be roll call. All in favor? Any opposed? Any further business?
This rulemaking hearing was now closed. The record will remain open for 2 weeks to receive additional comments. As I stated earlier, my contact information is on the notice that was filed with the Secretary of State's office, and so comments can be directed to me or to Executive Secretary Bishop. Thank you.
That concludes the rulemaking committee hearing. Thank you.
And the members of the public understand we're completely, we're finished.
Thank you, Ms. Beard.
Ms. Beard, thank you for your attendance.
Thank you for having me. And again, sorry for my tardiness. Take care, everybody.
You too.
I would say we close the meeting and go out of session.
I think I kind of
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Mark, Kim, stay on.
Yeah, Mark and Commissioner Dunbar and Commissioner Birchfield, if you can stay on, can you kick everybody out? That's
Yes, I know.
Stop recording.
The court reporter.
Yes, she needs to leave. Not that it's